Have you ever wondered how a great civilization just ends? It's one of the biggest questions in all of history. And for more than 100 years, the Indus Valley civilization was maybe the greatest mystery of them all. I mean, really think about this for a second. We're talking about a society with sewers and cities that were better planned than some we have today, and they just vanished. Poof! No big final battle, no single massive disaster. They just faded out of existence. So let's unpack how science finally managed to crack this 4,500-year-old cold case. Okay, first things first, to really get why this was such a huge mystery, you have to understand just how incredibly advanced these people were. Seriously, they were ahead of their time by centuries. And the sheer scale, it's just mind-boggling. At its height, this civilization had about 5 million people. Now, that might not sound like a lot today, but back then, that was roughly 10% of the entire world's population. And they were spread out over an area bigger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia put together. Just massive. Their cities, wow. Places like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa were absolute masterpieces. I mean, they had organized street grids, they standardized the size of their bricks across more than 1,000 different sites. Think about that coordination. A lot of homes had their own private toilets and baths, all hooked up to a covered, citywide sewer system. This is a level of sanitation that literally disappeared for thousands of years after they did. Oh, and they were trading with Mesopotamia, which was super far away, and they even practiced some form of dentistry. Incredible! But here's the part that really gets you. It's the most remarkable thing. For all their power, for all their sophistication, archaeologists have found almost no evidence of war. We can't find grand palaces for powerful kings, no giant temples for an elite class of priests, and, get this, virtually no weapons. It seems like they were a uniquely peaceful, maybe even an egalitarian society. So let's just recap, right? You have this massive, peaceful, super advanced civilization that's doing great for centuries, and then gone. This is the vanishing act. This is the mystery that has stumped experts for over a century. For a long time, the usual suspects were trotted out. You know, the classic theories. Was it a massive invasion? Nope. Archaeologists looked, and there are no signs of a huge battle, no mass graves, nothing. Okay, what about a giant earthquake? Well, the cities weren't flattened. A sudden deadly plague? The bones don't tell that story. None of the easy answers actually fit the evidence. And here's what makes the mystery even more maddening. The Indus people, they're silent. They left behind thousands of artifacts with their writing on them, these beautiful little seals and tablets. But to this day, we still can't read their script, not a single word. So we're dealing with a civilization that literally cannot speak for itself. So, no written records, and all the old theories are debunked. How in the world did we finally figure this out? Well, the answer wasn't found by digging in the dirt with a shovel. It came from the lab. The first huge breakthrough was all thanks to ancient DNA. At a site called Rakhigarhi, scientists managed to pull genetic material from a skeleton that was 4,500 years old. And that DNA told us something crucial. The Indus people were not migrants who just copied ideas from Mesopotamia or somewhere else. No, they were homegrown, indigenous innovators whose ancestors had lived right there in that region for millennia. And that was a game changer. It meant we had to stop looking for an outside force. The true culprit wasn't some sudden, violent disaster. It was something slower, more insidious, and in the end, way more powerful. So scientists started looking at things like ancient cave formations and the sediment in old lake beds to reconstruct the climate from back then. And they found it, the smoking gun. Starting around 2200 BCE, the powerful monsoons, the very lifeblood of their society, they just started to weaken. This wasn't one bad drought. We're talking about centuries of climate change. The rain became erratic. The rivers that they depended on started to dry up or change course. The entire agricultural system that fed millions of people began to crumble. But it didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, over generations. People started leaving the great cities, moving to smaller villages where they had a better chance of survival. Okay, so what does the collapse of a civilization from 4,500 years ago have to do with us? Well, it's actually a pretty powerful warning, one that echoes right into our world today. Here's the big takeaway. The Indus people were brilliant, absolutely brilliant engineers. They were masters of water management, masters of city planning. But even all their incredible ingenuity, all their smarts, couldn't save them from a fundamental, long-term shift in their climate. Their amazing society hit a wall. It had limits when faced with a hostile environment that was just beyond their control.
So, in the end, the Indus Valley civilization wasn't murdered. It wasn't wiped out by a single disaster. It was slowly, generation by generation, squeezed into collapse by a changing planet. They left us a powerful lesson, one that's written in the ruins of their incredible cities. Their writing is silent, yeah? But their story, it speaks volumes. And it leaves us with one pretty big question. Are we listening?